Welcome to By the Railside Movie Review Podcast. I'm your host, Zach. With me today, I've got Jordan and Jeff.
I think that the Abomination looks cooler.
Unlucky. Don't forget to follow us on Twitch, twitch.tv/bytherailside, as well as Instagram and Twitter. And listen to us on Spotify or anywhere else you consume wonderful podcasts, such as this one. Or better ones. That too.
Such as any other.
Yeah.
I disagree. There's podcasts where they just read "Am I the asshole?" So.
Ooh. Yeah, you know what? Ours at least is informative. You get to find out how much Jeff despises movies.
Hell yeah.
And really, you just can't. That's just getting to know Jeff. Hey, all of you boys out there.
Oh. He's single and can fit a Pringle can somewhere.
Up my nose.
Whoa.
From the 10 tons of Coke I do a week, it's really rotted away.
That's a lot of Coke.
You would have to be constantly doing coke.
Who says I'm not? This week we watched The Incredible Hulk starring Edward Norton.
Yes, and Liv Tyler. And
I think we should name it to the average Hulk. He was not incredible. He spoke once. That's not that incredible.
He spoke a couple times.
No.
Yeah.
Hulk smash.
No, he also...
And he said Betty.
Yeah, he mumbled to her, and at the beginning, or near the beginning, when he first turned, when he was fighting I think they were Brazilians in the thing, he said, "Leave me be." It was very growly, but he definitely said it.
Yeah. And also,
not that incredible.
William Hurt and Tim Roth, who played Emil Blonsky, a.k.a. The Abomination. All right, but now that we know who's in it, we all know it's a Marvel movie. Jordan.
So gives it a 9 out of 10.
No. Hey, we're not at the ratings yet. We're at the part where Jordan tells us about the movie. For all the viewers out there that have never watched a Marvel movie, because you're scum.
Or Amish.
Yeah, that's you.
That's what he said. Scum.
Hey, made good furniture. Need a barn.
Expensive as fuck.
Only have 20 minutes. Done. Anyways, depicting the events after the Gamma Bomb, The Incredible Hulk tells the story of Dr. Bruce Banner, who seeks a cure to his unique condition, which causes him to turn into a giant green monster under emotional stress. Whilst on the run for the military, which seeks his capture, Banner comes close to a cure, but all is lost when a new creature emerges. Blonsky.
Blomsky.
Thank you, Graham Kroon, for that lovely depiction of the movie.
Yes. And now we see what... oh, fuck. My stream is playing on my phone. Whoops.
Distraction.
Now we're going to guess what Jeff is going to be rating the movie, just before we get into all the technical stuff. I'm guessing 3.
I'll go with a 5. I think Jeff
Ooh.
moderately enjoyed this movie.
Why do you think I didn't enjoy it, Zach?
No Hulk bulge.
You much prefer Ruffalo as the Hulk. The CGI and everything, because this is mainly a CGI movie for like the action sequences, was not the best, and the love story was okay. It definitely didn't help advance like they didn't jam it in there. It definitely was somewhat needed for the plot, but yeah. And in general, you hate movies.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What about you, Jordan? Why do you think I somewhat enjoyed it?
Because the first thing that you said about the movie was a positive thing. That said that you enjoyed Abomination more than the Hulk, which I actually have to agree with. I have it in my notes somewhere.
He looks cooler. He's got spinities and bone elbows.
Yeah, I also think he's just animated better most of the movie. I have a feeling that most of the animation went towards like that last fight. They basically animated it backwards with their budget.
Yeah.
But I think I although he does prefer Ruffalo, I think he enjoys this movie to a certain extent. So I think he's going to give him a 5.
All right. So let's jump into the technical stuff of the movie. So the editing, the effects, and the music. And we'll kick it off to Jeff to tell us what he thought about all that.
Can I go second? I had a note that I wrote down about something at the beginning that I didn't double check with a second copy I had to see if it was just my copy or not. So can I go second here?
Okay. Yeah. All right, Jordan.
What are we talking about first? Because if
technical
it's music, I have one note. We'll do that, okay?
Oh.
Don't understand why the sound is only affecting the Hulk. Maybe it's the different frequencies. So that was when during the first attempted capture of the Hulk at the university. I didn't understand why, like, yeah, you're shooting 2 different sound waves, I'm assuming, at him from different directions, but why is it not affecting anyone else? I didn't see one person with earplugs in, and even the civilians, but no one cared. I feel like I'd be on the ground screaming.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think though. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know if it was so much frequency, but more just like the like the bass causing those just the blasts. It definitely would be louder in the actual thing. Blonsky would beside it had like covered his ears and stuff like that because of the frequency. But yeah, the I don't know what the distance goes for all that loud shit. It probably should have killed most of the kids if it was high frequency, since they can process it more so than old people.
Yeah, so if it was bass, like, because I mean, I don't know if it was just like movie magic, you can see the sound, or if it was like we're pumping so much out of these fucking cannons that you can literally see the sound. Like, because we've been to outdoor concerts and live concerts, and I've been fairly close to the sound stage, and like my heart, I felt like it was gonna stop. There was so much bass, like someone would have died.
Yeah, I think it's definitely movie magic and like ignoring realism, because the way I interpreted it is it was basically just so loud that the raw pressure from it is what held him back. Because when they first turned it on, it hit Chomsky, or what is that guy's name?
Blonsky.
Blomsky?
Blonsky.
All right, Blumpkin. It hit Blumpkin, and it sent him flying. And then when he hit the ground, then he covered his ears. But I mean, you can direct sound to an extent, but nothing like that. Like Jordan said, and the kids in the area would just be like fucking melting. If it was strong enough to hold back the Hulk, who's just like throwing cars and shit, then yeah, that whole scene was 100% bullshit.
Yeah, though it was Stark Tech.
Was it? I did
Yeah.
miss that.
Yeah, when in the beginning parts of the movie, when it was like going through like almost like the origin, like a quick run through origin, and it showed Ross at his desk and going through like plans and stuff. Those trucks were on a plans, and it said what the hell is it called? It said Stark on the either the blueprints or that. Yeah. Now I don't know why it was Stark Tech, but because they didn't know about the Hulk until they blew everything up.
But he's a military guy, right? So they have military contracts with Stark. Because this movie was released the same year. It was like 2 or 3 months after Iron Man.
Yeah.
So yeah, they would still have the weapon contracts. I just looked it up. So Tony was a prisoner for 3 months.
Yeah, roughly that.
So yeah, well, that's where I'm confused, because I want to know timeline of this movie and Iron Man, because it was released the same year. So if the movie was like staged at the same timeline,
From what I saw, the movie was supposed to take place in 2010.
So a year after.
Okay, so that's why Tony was out. That makes sense then. But I guess back to the music and sound, I didn't really notice anything. I did the only positive thing I had was the lack of sound. I thought was great because like sometimes if you're in like an action scene, um, they overload it with music and sound effects and speaking and everything like that. And this movie did a good job of sort of transitioning from music to like dialogue or music to actual sound effects. I never had or never noticed too much of an overlap in that, which I thought was nice. The only one that actually like stood out to me that I remember was the actually the first fight scene when the chopper like was first coming in. Right before they called it in, it was like there was music playing, and then it went silence, and then the chopper came in. Or
Yeah.
gunship. I don't know what it was. Like it was a helicopter, but they called it a gunship.
Yeah.
Had a
Yeah.
gun on it. Gunship. Easy.
The ship is a boat.
No, they do call helicopters and heavily armed airplanes one not gunships. That's pretty normal.
Yeah. But the music and sound was all good. I had quite a bit of issues with some of the CGI in it. A lot of it, like with the cave scene, is probably where I had the biggest issues, just because the coloration that they use for Wet Hulk and the cave rocks were very similar. So it was like you could still tell he was there, but he blends in really fucking good with those cave rocks and everything like that. So I don't know if they were just like, hey, we'll just kind of do an outline. We're running out of budget. But I had
I
an issue
never
with that
noticed
part.
it.
I actually wrote a note about that as well. I thought that they were using it to hide the shitty CGI. Because if it's dark as fuck and you can't really tell what's going on, you're not going to notice if everything is just like unpixelated, just smooth.
Yeah. The the for music and sound and whatnot, I rarely take note of music and sound, and I can't tell you a single song or anything that was in this. So it must have been average because I didn't notice anything good or bad. As for like editing and effects, yeah, this movie left a lot to be desired. For the most part, the green screens were okay. Like they weren't like super obvious. But at the end, when he's about to jump off the like helicopter and they do their little like kiss scene at the end, that green screen was just like so blaringly obvious that you're just like, wow, that just ripped me right out of any kind of immersion I had.
Yeah.
Um, the effects at the beginning were really bad, and the very I don't know if it was the very first scene, but when they were like doing a pan over shot of like Brazil or wherever the fuck he was staying, did anyone notice that that was like 15 FPS?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I just went back and looked at. I was like, okay, maybe it's just the first copy I had was bad. And I went back and I looked at a second copy. I have a 720 and a 1080, and they were both like 15 FPS for that, and that actually just hurt my eyes. I was just like, what the fuck?
I think
Yeah.
that might have been just like the camera technology. Like it might have been a drone shot before we had like a 4K drone that could fit in your pocket.
No, there's like look at things like the other Iron Man movie that came out that exact year. They have the technology. It was just badly done.
Yeah. And this film also, like, it was Marvel Studios, but a lot of it, like, I think it was different production. Yeah, it was Universal. Um, had a lot of say in it because they own the rights and shit to the Hulk. But yeah, it was a rough one for sure.
Like I
Uh,
said, I think they went backwards with the animation budget. Like they started at the end of the movie and then slowly did the animation for the going to the beginning.
well, I kind of agree with you. I see what you're talking about. There was some parts of that last fight scene that were just awful. All the animations of that chain, anytime you got a close up of that chain when it was moving, was just like it looked like it was made out of Play-Doh. It was an untextured, just piece of shit, and it was super bad when Hulk did his stupid Hulk smash thing that sent a shockwave forward for some whatever. Uh, when he did that, and the chain slipped out of Abomination's hand, it was just like a gray, untextured link, and it just like whoop out of his hand. That was nowhere near close. It was, oh, that was bad. And one thing I noticed that this is more editing than effects is during the uh, daytime Hulk scene when they were at like the university, and he was running alongside the 50 cal Jeep, and he knocked it over. After he knocked it over, he continued running, and I don't know if they were doing like using just someone running and then they inflated his size and then colored over it or something, because his feet were a completely different color than the rest of his body. Like completely different color when he was running. It was only like 1.5 seconds, but I noticed it, rewound it, and watched it again. I'm like, whoa, that's rough.
Yeah, there was another point actually where the feet were like horribly animated when right after he saved the girl from the gunship. What did I call it? Betty Nugs. Right after he saved Betty Nugs from the gunship, and he like jumped into the stream. Like there was barely any reaction to the stream itself, and then while he was walking, it was like an 8th grade animation. Like there was no reaction to the stream. It was just him just sort of gliding over top of it. One thing I do want to say about the effects is that the practical effects I thought were nice, because they didn't have a whole lot of animation. Whereas like nowadays, it'd be okay, we have to show the Hulk running beside like these two Humvees. Now they just do, okay, we're gonna animate the fuck out of everything since it's a wide shot. But this one was like they actually had Humvees driving. They're like, okay, now we're just gonna place Hulk in afterwards.
Yeah. Now I don't know. Like, is it classic like military? Like I've never seen them hunting people down like this, but when they first went on the campus and then Bruce spots them all and he starts taking off and they just bring in the Humvees. Is that just like America where they just smash through everything? Like they didn't even attempt to find something else, like some other path. They're just like, nah, fuck it. We're driving right through both of these cars and just destroying them.
I obviously have no idea because I've never been involved in any of that stuff, but with like what they believe is like military weapon property and all that kind of stuff, and it being America, I wouldn't be surprised if they're just like, fuck everything, we're getting this thing, especially because they consider it dangerous and it's been escaping them for like 5-6 years, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't put it past them, but it also could just be Hollywood inflation, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it was more showing the general, like, because the general at this point was any means necessary. We're getting this guy, so it might have been an order from him, like a director, like once we give the go ahead, nothing gets in the way, unless it like you're gonna run over a civilian. Like as long as it's not a civilian, run it the fuck over.
Yeah, and I guess he definitely does show that with his lack of caring for his daughter or anything like that.
Yeah, like that was that how obsessed he is with the Hulk. And a little note afterwards, like right at the very end when he's about to talk to Redacted, I guess we'll talk about that later. He's drinking green fucking drinks, which I don't know what that was.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
so
saw that too.
That's I just read that. That's actually called an Incredible Hulk. So it's a mixture of what was it? Hennessy and Hypnotic, and the two mixed together. Yeah, Hypnotic and Hennessy, and the two mixed together, creating a green hue or a green colored drink. And it's actually called an Incredible Hulk cocktail.
Okay, there's a couple other names for it. I just looked it up. It doesn't look appetizing in some of the pictures.
No, well, I don't think. Yeah, that's straight booze like that. Hennessy, I'm pretty sure is like it's like cognac or something like that. So
yeah. Well, I mean, like some of them are fine because some of it looks like a neon green, like it looks cool. I drink that. That's fruity. And then some are like, get out of me, swamp.
Yeah, like a gangrene. Oh.
Yeah, like it definitely the Exorcist bitch puked this up.
Yeah. Um, Speaking of the general and Bruce and everything like that, like the characters themselves seemed like they seemed pretty decent. I didn't mind Edward Norton as Bruce Banner. It seemed like there wasn't as much like he didn't seem like a very sciency guy. Just the way he was depicting himself as compared to when we get to the Avengers and Mark Ruffalo takes over. But I fucking love Tim Roth as Blonsky. Like that was his acting and just wanting all that power, seeing it and needing it all, and then becoming Abomination like that. That was sick.
Yeah, I really I liked Edward Norton a little bit. Like I thought he played Bruce well, but I think that what is nuts does it better. Mark Ruffalo, just because he seems, I don't want to say smarter, but he seems more like the Doctor type. Because this guy's like running through the hood in Brazil, no problems, doing parkour and shit. It's like no, that's not what happens. He's supposed to be nerd. I don't think he does track.
Yeah, he's got the Hulk for track.
Exactly. He's like, oh, I gotta run. I'm out of here. Hulk, take over. Give me that starting gun.
Yeah. I didn't mind Edward Norton's acting. I don't feel like he plays the constant nervousness as well as Ruffalo. Um, Ruffalo, whenever I watch him playing the Hulk, he just gives off an aura of anxiety. Like he's constantly like wringing his hands and constantly just like looking around, and just something about him makes me feel like he's anxious, right? Whereas uh, Edward Norton, he even had a watch on, and it never even spiked at all, unless he was actively like running around, right? Like, I don't think he did a bad job, but I don't think he did as good of a job as Ruffalo. And I agree, the writing for him was like really bad. He's supposed to be like he's the guy who invented this stuff, and he's going to other people for like advice on how to fucking fix it and whatnot. He's supposed to be the gamma radiation expert. He's just like, help. What flower do I eat to fucking like? They showed him make the whole elixir out of the flower, which was the only sciencey part he did in the whole movie. I didn't like how he was written so much. The girl, his girlfriend or whatever,
Yeah.
she was written absolutely horrendously. Like her whole character was just, I'm dumb girlfriend. Oh my god, you're back. I'm so happy. But like also, what do you need me to do? I'm just here to serve. Like, holy fuck, her whole character. My first note about her was that I hated her voice, and then it just like got worse from there. Liz's character is such a bland character. Next note. She's just stupid woman the character.
Yeah, it's they definitely blew it there because in the comics, like like they are like each other's love of their lives type deal. But Betty is like the one that helps him. Like you even see it in the beginning parts. Like she's the one of the other scientists. She has her moment in the car where she almost seems sciency when they're talking about like, oh, what is it like? But even still, the dialogue and the writing they used, it didn't seem very like I shouldn't say sciency, but it didn't seem like it fit with the roles in that they were supposed to play throughout the movie, being scientists and all, and then just, hey, what's it like? Oh, like you black out? Oh, you remember stuff? No. Oh, and then it just that was like the whole scene, and that was the most she got out. That was just like, oh, okay, she's also a scientist, but you couldn't infer it if you didn't see her in the beginning with the coat, or when he goes and looks at the board and sees it says Dr. Elizabeth Ross.
Yeah. Yeah, her character was just like the worst. The best character in the movie for me though was Mr. Blue. That guy,
Yeah.
I don't know who plays that guy, but that guy is just like crackpot scientist who will do anything just to see what happens, and I love those characters, and I think he played it really well.
Yeah, his name is Tim Blake Nelson.
Yeah.
Blake Nelson is one of my favorite actors. He's one of those actors where you know exactly who he is, but you don't know his name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really like that character. That was my note. I'm like, this Mr. Blue guy is actually entertaining, not like these other ones.
I did have an issue with him slightly, because like I get that he's just like a science maniac at this point, but you gotta infer like from Mr. Green's fucking encrypted chats that you shouldn't be replicating whatever he's sending you.
Yeah.
But he was like, he's just 100% on board. Like, fuck it. If this is dangerous to me, let's do it. If this is dangerous to other people, as long as I don't have to see it, let's do it.
Yeah, I took him as the like, I'm gonna try and help this guy, but also the greater good of behind his back. We could cure cancer and all that with this gamma radiation technology. So I didn't mind the fact that he replicated it, because his goal wasn't to make more monsters, right? It was to use it to like cure disease and all that kind of stuff. I
Yeah.
didn't mind it, but that could just be personal preference too, right?
Yeah, and he's a bit ignorant of the world. Like he's just nope. Science is good. I use science for good. Everyone uses science for good instead
Yeah.
of like Edward Norton, who's like, no, these people want to experiment on me, and it hurts.
Yeah. Did anyone look up what he like? They basically left him as an open character for the next one because he had that shit dribble into him. Did anyone know
And
what
his
he
face was
turns
like
into?
swelling and shit. I had a note at the end of the movie that was like, so Abom is still alive. And then when I was at my sister's today, I saw a preview for the Shanghai movie or whatever, the Legend of the Rings or whatever the fuck it's
Shang-Chi.
called. Sure. And I saw that like the bad guy in that was Abom. I'm like, oh, so he is still alive. Okay.
Yeah, they're bringing him back for that and She-Hulk.
Oh yeah. According to this random website, he becomes
Oh, the leader.
he becomes like a little alien guy.
Oh, I wonder if they're gonna bring him. Oh, he's in that one. I wonder if they'll be bringing him back anytime soon.
You gotta figure he might be coming in for She-Hulk. I was actually trying to look up to see if Betty Ross was coming back to the MCU because I don't know why they wouldn't use her, like specifically the Avengers, to calm Bruce down before he needed. Well, I guess he figured it out now, but
Yeah.
before they didn't have him as a backup plan or her as a backup plan, like when they were going to get him in Avengers.
Yeah, they sort of just were just like, hey, here's your new piece of ass. And then they brought in Scarlet or not Scarlet Witch, Scarlett Johansson. But yeah, the writing overall also seemed odd. It almost was like the comedy bits, like for the most part, Marvel movies have like they have the action and then they have comedy sort of scattered throughout. I almost felt like they grouped a lot of the comedy into like one section of the movie.
I can't even recall comedy in the movie.
Yeah, it was more. Basically, it was. I think it was when Betty and Bruce were on their like way out, or not on their way out, but like in the hotel room. They had little bits and pieces there, and then with Samuel Stearns. But yeah, other than that, it was either sort of tense stuff, which makes sense because you're the whole movie you're waiting for when Bruce is gonna pop and become the Hulk. But yeah, to me it didn't almost feel like a Marvel movie because it wasn't. It didn't have that nice flow that all the other ones do.
And what was with like maybe I obviously don't read the comics or whatnot, but in the comics, does the Hulk pop just off of like his fucking heart rate? I always thought it was just anger, but he like can't run too much in this one. He can't have sex or can't do any of that stuff, or he'll just pop and turn into the Hulk. Like, is that normal?
I don't think so. I wrote a note about that too. I was like, 200 beats per minute is now the Hulk time. That doesn't make sense. And then I put it might be like a survival thing because, like Bruce says in the Avengers, like if he tries to kill himself or he's close to death, the Hulk comes out. So maybe like 200 beats per minute is the cutoff where the Hulk is like, okay, something's definitely wrong. I'm coming out, and that's he found that out with a hooker in Brazil.
Yeah.
Her name was Candice.
This is kind of more technical. I don't know if it's counted as technical, but for like the sets and whatnot, the overall sets seemed fine. Like the Brazil one being like the fucking trash panda area. I'm not saying all Brazil's like that, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
That looked fine, and the like Canada was just like random wilderness and all that kind of stuff. But this movie takes place in 2010 with like Shield, Tony Stark, all this kind of stuff. So like there's technology, but all the fucking universities are just running tube monitors and shit like that. Like that
Yeah.
was so outdated. That was like 13 years out of date.
Yeah, but I mean, universities aren't going to spend money unless they absolutely have to, and those things were basically indestructible.
Yeah, I don't know. That always ripped me out whenever he'd go to type on something and there's just like a fucking tube monitor there in 2010. Like, no.
I mean, when did
No.
we get we our high school got upgraded to flat screens in what, like 2012, 2013?
We've been out of high school for longer than that.
Yeah. I think we were out at like 2009 was my
Oh.
graduating year.
Yeah, you guys were. Okay, so maybe.
Yeah, and there was flat screens while we were in school. In a high school, not
Yeah.
a university.
They were shitty, but they were there.
Maybe that was like a shitty university. I don't know. Where is it? Grayburn College, formerly affiliate.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Samuel Stern's Marvel or MCU wiki.
Oh yeah, his office. It was just like drop kicking computers and shit to get it to work.
Yeah.
I was like, this is brutal. Because then that was another one where it was just like that was supposed to be a comedy bit, but you would think that this guy who's trying to work on all this stuff and clearly he's renowned for what he does, and yet all his equipment is just barely working.
Yeah.
Like he had the equipment in the lab to have a fucking like room filled with samples of his blood and everything like that, and then he's just like, oh yeah, and here's my Morse code machine.
Yeah, he has the technology to fucking replicate blood. We don't have the technology to do that, or we wouldn't need blood donations.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so much stuff like that in this movie. Like the fucking Hulk, he's just like, I need to escape with this USB, so I'm gonna swallow it. It wasn't encapsulated or anything. It was just a fucking open USB, and he swallowed it. Your stomach acid would tear that thing to shreds.
Yeah.
He also had a different USB when he puked it up.
Did he? I didn't notice.
The one he put in was plastic on the outside.
The one he puked up was metal. I noticed that.
So unless his stomach acid just melted off the plastic on the outside, like that was a different USB. You need to go back in the bathroom and puke the other one up.
Yeah. Oh, this one's the one with the naughty stuff on it. Also,
that's only legal in Brazil.
that shit would tear your esophagus up throwing that up too.
It wouldn't be nice, but there's people that puke up keys and whatnot, right? So
Yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely done it before. Like that's the only way to explain it. Before we move on, I just wanted to say like about the heart rate thing. Why did they shock him? Why not just give him adrenaline to get him to change for the cure? That didn't make any sense to me.
They couldn't afford that.
Yeah.
Just scare him or fucking. All right, we need him to change. Betty, suck him. Suck his dick.
Yeah, the electric. Well, yeah, the adrenaline just puts it on, but he just turns into like Jonah Hill off of Get Him to the Greek. Just, but yeah, and the I didn't like the cheesy line either that Dr. Stearns had when Blonsky was just like picks him up and he's like, "Hey, I don't know what you have in there already. If I add this stuff, it could become an abomination." And I was just like, "Oh my god, you guys, you couldn't have either written that better or had him deliver that a little bit better. You just knew that he was going to be abomination, and then they just sort of needed to chuck that line in there just to, I don't know, make it seem like that you didn't know what was going on."
Yeah, see, I didn't even notice that because I had to look up what the bad guy's name was because they never said it anywhere, right? And then when it said Abomination, I'm like, well, maybe that's what he called himself because that's what Mr. Blue called him, right? If we don't know, you could become an abomination. And then we changed it to like, well, fuck it, I'm Abomination, right? So I didn't even clue into that, right?
Yeah, it's but I don't know. I just didn't. I just hated the way it was delivered. It
Yeah.
just seemed like it seemed very, um, like '80s, almost like '80s action movie where it just like um, the bad guys like telling their ploy or something like that. I don't know. There was just something
They got to
about it that
get
just
their
irked me.
one-liner in.
Yeah.
My favorite part of the movie was when he got boot fucked across the fucking yard and just smashed into a tree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how. Like, whatever they fucking gave him must have been like super soldier serum because
Yeah.
It was.
he got turned into fucking pudding, and then not a day later, he's fine.
Yeah, it was Super Soldier Serum.
Yeah.
It was the same stuff that they used on Cap, but obviously in a completely different way that didn't involve UV rays or whatever the fuck it
Yeah.
was called and all
Vita Ray
that. Yeah, vitamin
now
rays.
comes in a
That's right.
bar.
Yeah, so I mean that's definitely a continuation thing, problem. But
Yeah. But I don't know. I thought the acting in the production itself seemed pretty good, like minus the CGI in that. But the locations were pretty good, and overall, like the acting was decent for most characters. What's his name? William Hurt, who plays General Ross. Like that guy, I'm pretty sure just gets typecast as military because he like played a general perfectly, and like a general who was on a mission and like the military is his life first, and then everything else comes second, even family.
Yeah, he was definitely a military first. Well, you can especially say that whenever when he was talking to her new ex-boyfriend, I guess, on the porch, he's like, "Yeah, I can tell when you're lying." Right after he said that his daughter was his first priority, and then immediately after, he's like, "Okay, this guy knows I'm bullshitting." So, she's a fugitive. She's helping a fugitive. I'll arrest her.
Yeah, I'll fucking do it.
Yeah, give me the chance.
that
I don't give a fuck.
that fucking line he gives after that though is just like, where does she meet these guys? What do you mean? She works at a university. Of course she's gonna meet smart people there. What?
Yeah, but he is military the dumb.
Yeah. Yeah, I had no problem with production other than the CRT monitors. That really bugged me.
Yeah. Oh yeah, go ahead, Jordan.
I had an issue. Where was it? The Hulk. What or no? When Bruce was in the shower at the motel, was that steam or fucking fog?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
okay, we can't show Bum Bum. That's too much. It's a guy's ass. Can't do it.
Yeah.
I still wrote it down under fat ass count.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like literal fog. That was it.
Yeah. I think that he did that well. Like when we find out why that those things are happening. Like he plays the PTSD pretty well. I found, especially when he's like in Mexico or trying to walk to wherever that was, it California that his old university was. But there's that, and then when he was in the shower, and you're just like, well, like, why? He's getting these weird flashbacks to the odd moments of the fight. Like, it's only certain things. But then when he explains it to Betty in the car, how it's just like, he just has random glimpses and to almost like come forward in the Hulk's mind. I think he did that very well. And even though Jeff hates the female character, I think that their interaction while in the house of the like not knowing what to do, but you can tell that there's like the chemistry there, and then there's that lost love. Even when she's in the Stan's pizzeria, I think they did they acted those very very well.
Yeah, I like the acting on those, but I had an issue with pacing. The only things that we had in the movie that I saw, anyways, was the first time, like the first day they get it was 168 days since the last incident. I assumed that to be the first incident, but I looked it up online, and apparently it would have been 5 years since Bruce busted up Betty Nugs.
Yeah, they showed during like their weird flash forward kind of thing at the beginning. They showed a whole bunch of different incidents where he'd been seen. So it implied that basically he hulked out quite a few times since escaping the lab and whatnot, and it was 168 days since his last Hulk out, accidental Hulk out.
Oh, okay, yeah. I would have liked maybe just a newspaper clipping or something, like showing the year to like give us some idea of actually how long it'd been, because like I said, I thought it'd been like 168 days. So I was like, okay, 6 months, that's fine. But then she moved on within like 6 months to a year.
Hell yeah, she is a slut.
I also don't know how long her and Fuckboy had been together, but she just dropped him at the sight of Bruce.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't acted or explained very well, but they're supposed to be like super soulmates, right?
Yeah, like they were together beforehand, and then General Ross is like, "You hurt my daughter, you big green bastard."
Yeah.
I just don't. I didn't like the whole love story. It should have been done better, and or explained more, because like the timing, it just didn't seem right to me. Like he gone, from my understanding, he'd been gone for, let's say, a year, and then she's already living with another dude, and then just drops him for because she saw Bruce, but didn't care enough to check behind the fucking dumpster.
Nah, he's a track star.
I thought it was like, because I don't remember seeing that side of the alley, but I was assuming there was a fence.
Yeah.
It's like there's a fence and a dumpster, and then she didn't check. She's like, he's gone. I could have seen him running, but he's gone.
And then just whispered Bruce.
Brucey.
That was just her voice. I hated it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm a scientist. Today my experiment is blue eyeshadow.
Yeah. She was also in the Lord of the Rings, plays Erwin. I think she did that much better. Like she was better made and suited for that role as an elf, where you're supposed to be not majestic,
dainty.
but yeah. So it's not really a scientist, and her voice doesn't really work for that role.
Is that her actual voice?
Yeah.
I'd punch her.
Yeah, that's and she does it very well. It works very well in Lord of the Rings. But yeah, for this one, not so much. Blonsky, on the other hand, Tim Roth, like he played a badass very well. And like the
Except
military,
for the fact he's supposed to be like Russian special ops, and he didn't sound Russian in the slightest.
No, he's British. He was born,
I thought he was Russian
No,
special ops.
he was born in Russia but raised in Britain, and then he joined. He was on loan from the British Royal Navy.
Oh, that's my bad. I thought he was Russian spec ops.
I really don't even think he was in the military. Like, I think he was just on his own personal mission.
He's just a psychopath.
Yeah,
yeah. Well, because he was like never with the team. He was always off on his own. Like right from Brazil, pretty much.
yeah.
What was that line? I know you had to cash in some chips to get this, so just make it good. What does that even mean?
Yeah.
Make it good. Do a job.
Yeah.
Well,
Make sure you get this guy, because maybe it's like, hey, that guy didn't realize how serious the target was, so he was just like, hey, like I cashed in a lot for you, just like make sure that this is good and you actually get him, because I called in a lot of favors.
Yeah, I understand what it was supposed to mean, but just make it good is the worst line I've ever heard.
Yeah.
I had a little bit of issue with like casting of the side characters. There was one female side character in the entire movie,
Oh,
and it was like, what?
Betty Nugs.
No, she was. I class her as like a main character. The fucking general's like one side, so it was basically a secretary.
oh
Was a
yeah, the
female.
major.
Yeah, the rest of them there was no female characters.
Well, there was the that the Brazilian girl, where you almost catch a glimpse, but she yoinks the shirt up just in time.
Yeah, that character, like her role was just to give the like reason for those guys to hate him, which is fine.
Yeah.
But then just like using her as like an out and just being like, we need a random half sexy scene here. That again, you can tell Hollywood is just males.
Yeah, and then that guy, the guy who was like hitting on her was just like, hey, like he looked 50. Like
Yeah.
he was old as shit. And then his buddy had no eye. I don't know if you saw that when they were actually in the factory before Bruce changes into the Hulk for the first time. But the one part of his face was really fucked up.
Yeah. But I mean, just because you're old and awful looking doesn't mean you don't think you're like God's gift to women, right? Like, look at fucking Donald Trump.
Yeah.
He thinks all women love him, and he's like just this ugly 60-year-old man.
Well, when you grab him by the pussy.
Did you see that, like, in the election, both elections, like 89% of women voted against him,
Yeah.
both Republican and Democrat?
Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah. I don't know if it was actually a sponsor or if they were just like actually just booting up random computers. But did you notice that like half the computers had Norton antivirus on them?
Yeah, I question that.
I don't know if it's actually a sponsorship, but I've got a note just like sponsored by Norton.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3 times. And another stupid line they had was when they first got his laptop and some random person's asking him questions about him because apparently you don't know who you're after on your own goddamn mission. They're like, what about this girlfriend? Do you think she knows anything? Do you think she's helping him? And the general's like, no, we took care of that before. He's alone. He wants to be alone. Let's see if he's been talking to anybody.
Yeah.
Like, what? You can't just do that. Yeah, so the writing in this movie was pretty bad.
Yeah, definitely left some things to be desired for sure.
Yeah.
Although they did pretty well for tossing it back to both other Marvel movies, like leaving little clues of the MCU, as well as bringing in some familiar faces from when the Hulk was on TV, like a few decades ago.
Lou Ferrigno?
Lou Ferrigno. Lou Ferrigno.
I don't know why I know that name.
He was
He's an Incredible Hulk.
yeah, he's Lou Ferrigno. He he played the security guard when he gives him that free pizza. As he's trying to get up to the 5th floor to get on the computers.
Yeah.
He also voiced the Hulk.
Yeah.
Did he?
Yep.
Yep.
It's a good thing pizza can get you anywhere in America.
Yeah. As long as it's good.
Well, it was good. It was fucking Stan's Pizzeria, man.
Yeah, and actually, where did I read that? The guy who played Stan, he also voiced the Hulk in Bruce Banner in one of the TV shows. Yeah, the 1960s Incredible Hulk cartoon. He was he was the voice of Bruce Banner in that cartoon.
Speaking of Stan, Rip Stan Lee died in the movie for drinking contaminated fucking juice.
Yeah. Well, we don't know he died. We just know that he dropped his juice.
He died.
He died.
Oh, unlucky.
He's fucking donezo, boys. He got gamma poisoning, and that's how they tracked him down.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a I love Stanley cameos. Just wow, whoosh, just drops it all. Um,
Did
Yeah.
you notice in the cave scene? Now, I rewound it and checked a couple times for this one. They showed two different angles of the mouth of the cave. When he brought up Liz, they showed him walking up to the mouth of the cave. There's nothing there. Okay. He puts her down, does all that stuff. She slaps him, whatever. And then this is a stupid thing, but it's kind of a side note. He's just been shot with like grenade launchers, 50 cal bullets, and a gunship, and he doesn't really flinch. Then he bumps his head on the roof of the cave, and he stands there rubbing it like it hurt him. Like
yeah.
what? But and then after when he goes outside to just kind of sulk for a bit, it shows the front of the cave again. There's nothing there. Then lightning flashes, and he hauls a boulder out of fucking nowhere and just whips it into the sky. Where did that boulder come from?
Just
Did
there,
you guys
bro.
notice that?
Yeah.
It was just there.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. I checked.
He brought it up.
He was so angry that he created a boulder.
Yeah.
He had swallowed it earlier and then just
Yeah.
puked it up in anger.
I had an issue with him being injured by the gunship. Like, not so much him actually getting injured, but it was his healing factor. It was lacking in this movie.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
the other movies, if he gets hurt, he's healing almost immediately. This one, it's like, no, I gotta be angry at the gods for a minute and then fall asleep next to my girl, and then I'm fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he had like a bunch of when the gunship like crashed on him, it like cut through his skin and all that kind of stuff. He's supposed to be like borderline impervious.
Yeah.
He got like fucking ripped up by just like a random crash.
Yeah. Yeah. It was. They made some questionable injuries for this guy. But some of the other things to make note of for future things, Jeff. The guy that he gives pizza to in the while he's trying to look for his files in the actual computer lab. Obviously, like, well, it's not going to be part of this watch through, but Abomination's coming back for Shang-Chi. What else? Oh, when he is just fucking beating the shit out of the Abomination on the street there with the cop car, and and then the Abomination sort of spits out a tooth. I don't know if you caught that, Jordan, or if you remember the sort of like almost like a throwback in future movies for that one.
Does the Hulk spit out a tooth after getting hit by something?
Yeah, and it's one of the funnier moments in that in the fight scene for that one. I think it comes up in the second Avengers. But yeah, there's a few things that are going to pop up for sure in the future movies that relate to this one. We'll end up bringing them up on our end, just in case you don't remember them.
At the beginning, when they were flashing through all those files about Bruce and all that kind of stuff, there was a whole bunch of files about like Shield, Nick Fury, Stark Industries, and shit like that.
Yeah.
There was also one, I wrote it down, about a Richard Jones, but I never found out who that was. Who is Richard Jones?
Your mama.
Oh, Dick Jones? I don't know who
Dick
Richard Jones is.
I don't know. He
Well,
was
you
just
Google that.
he was just in one of the things. Apparently, he's known as Phantom Reporter.
Oh, maybe he was just one of the reporters on screen. Wasn't there like a live reporter the first time they tried to capture Hulk?
Yeah, there's a few that pop up, like that news, the news outlet or whatever, it shows up quite often.
It's the Daily Planet.
Yeah. What's this? Rick Jones, a fictional character. Go ahead.
Who's Dick Jones?
Oh, apparently he's just a fictional character appearing in Marvel Comics. He's been a sidekick to Bruce Banner, Captain America, Captain Marvel. He's a human mutate. Is his species? I don't know what it has to do with the MCU.
It was probably just like a random call out to the comics, because again, it was just a
Yeah.
name on a report. I was pausing at each one and just like seeing what I could see.
Yeah.
something I normally do.
Fair enough. Okay, I wanted to ask a question to you guys. He wasn't in Shield, correct? General Ross.
I think he was like privy to it, but I don't believe he was actually part of it.
Okay, because like from my understanding, because I know they were using the Shield database to try and find Bruce, but then at the end of the movie, when Tony Stark like comes up to him and is like, "Hey, we're forming a team," like, shouldn't he know that?
Yeah, so maybe it's just like a call out, like how the FBI is just like, hey, you got any CIA contacts or something like that? Maybe they just knew of Shield and knew Shield sort of helped take care of all these other things because this is a few years after like Captain Marvel and stuff like that. So Nick Fury has time to build Shield into what it was. That would be
Yeah,
my
I was
guess.
just going off of like because in Iron Man it was unknown pretty much.
Yeah.
Like they didn't even have the fucking acronym for it,
Yeah, yeah, the first one, yeah.
which I thought was funny. I think they should go back and re-edit it, like recall all the DVDs and Blu-rays, and re-edit the movie so that it like they just say Shield.
Yeah, I just did a quick Google in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He's not part of Shield, and when they were looking for the Hulk, they were working together because Shield wanted to see if they could put Hulk into the Avengers Initiative, and they wanted to find him too, and they were basically just using each other's resources.
Okay, makes sense. I want to talk about the Hulk as well. He's got some fucking hops. So it
Yeah.
took him 1 day to get from Brazil to Guatemala.
Yeah.
That is 5,369 kilometers.
Hell yeah. But
Per night?
you sort of see that when you get to like Age of Ultron and he fucking hops Black Widow up onto the ship there. But yeah, in general, like he can take off, right? And he is like his speed is pretty quick. But yeah, that going that distance, it's weird that he went up that way. Like I know it's probably for the story, but it was interesting that he went up towards the United States, even though they were trying to escape.
Yeah, I feel like Hulk probably wouldn't know. He would just be like, okay, getting away from these guys. They're behind me. I'm going forward.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking because this is before they merged, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this one, and I want to know the differences because like this guy says he gets like flashes like PTSD of consciousness, whereas Bruce describes the majority of the times that he changes as like he's in the back seat.
Yeah, so he can sort of tell, but maybe that's more like because he's more practiced. Like
Yeah, that's what I was like. I want to know if they're tying it in because at the end of the movie, when he's meditating, his eyes go green for no fucking reason, right?
Yeah, he just like was like, fuck it. It's been 30 days. Let's go.
Haven't had a freak out in a while.
That's one thing that was just like, it's the most stupid menial thing to complain about. But when he woke up in like the river, and the days since last incident went from like 168 down to 1. It should be 0. He just woke up. The last incident was now. What do you mean since 1?
He
No, last
was
incident was
conky for a day.
He was passed out for a day. Okay, maybe.
But yeah. Overall, oh, and the purple pants that Betty buys. That is a throwback to old school Hulk as well in the comics.
Yeah.
Them stretchy pants.
They're the stretchiest pair.
But yeah, all right, now let's go.
Oh.
One more.
One thing that most people should just be absolutely appalled by. At the beginning of the movie, he's sitting there making food. He's mixing things in a metal pan with a metal fork.
Yeah, that one hurt.
Welcome to Brazil. There are no rules.
Fuck. Guy should just be put down right then and there.
The only rule is no sticks in a non-stick pan.
Yeah.
You don't understand what non-stick means.
Non-stick.
Yeah. Jeff's getting triggered by that, and Jeff cooks with microwaves.
You can't cook with metal in microwaves.
No, you're not supposed to. cops can't stop me.
All right, let's get our ratings in. We'll find out what Jeff thought. All right, we'll start with him.
This one is pretty hard for me. I like the idea. I like basically just, excuse me, Hulk on the run, and then he's being manhunted by the government, so the government basically makes their own Hulk. I really like the whole plot idea of this movie, but between the writing, the effects, and I'm not saying the effects because like, oh, it's an older movie, it's got old effects. There was better effects at the times, and they just didn't use them, right? The writing, the effects, the characterization, it just really tore apart what could have been a really good movie. So while I'm going to like be an exception to my own rule here, I don't think I'd be overly upset if someone put this movie on in front of me. But also, there's so many flaws with it. I can't bring myself to give it a 5. So I'd give this movie like a 4, a 4.5. It's not a terrible movie, and it's got good ideas, but it's executed really poorly.
All right.
4.5 round up. I win.
Perfect. What about you, Jordan?
I'm gonna go with a 6, because I like some of the stuff that they did, like in the beginning, where they just showed you like the quick snippets of the backstory instead of like getting into it. Because I mean, for most superhero movies now, we know the backstory, but like the acting, well, not so much the acting. I thought the acting was well done. It was more the script and the writing. I thought was pretty horrendous most of the time. Only like 2 of the fight scenes I thought were good. The rest was like kind of choppy animation. The only part I was wowed by animation was in the very first fight scene when the Hulk was using like the 2 ripped up tanks as shields, and he like peeked through it. I thought that was the best. Mostly because like they didn't have to animate much, so they could actually take their time on it. The use of practical effects I thought was nice, but it didn't make up for the fact that the CGI was just god awful. Like, what is this? 150-ish million dollars budget? You can fucking spend some more on a better computer or something. But yeah, if this movie was on and I had nothing else to do, then I'd watch it. But it's not a movie I'm gonna like actively seek out. Be like, oh, I haven't seen this in a couple years. It'd be more like, oh, I haven't seen this in a couple years. Watches Diners, Drive-ins, and Dives.
Yeah. Yeah. It definitely had its moments. I don't mind the shredded Hulk look. For me, I don't think it works. I think when they finally get it into like the Mark Ruffalo versions, and the fact that Mark Ruffalo also plays the Hulk later on, between the CGI, the writing, it was questionable. The comedic timings and everything like that, it was pretty rough for that. The characters themselves, I'm glad they're keeping some of them, and they moved on, but. Yeah, I'm giving mine a 7.5, which is that's a low for a Marvel movie for me. I honestly, it's a toss up between this one and Thor: Dark World, where the movie's like, if I could skip it watching them through all the time, like I probably would, if doing MCU watch throughs again, if that's what I want. But yeah, this one is. It's not a good one for me. Which gives the rating of 6 combined for us. Oh, so
I was right.
Oh, right about what?
My rating, I got it right. I'm the best.
Yeah.
I gave it a 6. It's a 6.
So, what do we got for the next one? Oh,
4-1.
Thor 1.
4-1.
First time we see Chris Hemsworth and Tom Hiddleston. Tom Hiddleston playing Loki. Should be a good time. I enjoy this one.
It's a pretty low-key role.
Yeah. Yeah. I heard Jordan laughing.
So funny.
Don't forget to join us next week. We'll be back again on Friday to do our recordings. You can join us live here, chat with us at twitch.tv/bytherailside, as well as giving us some comments and tweeting at us. Go to Instagram, Twitter. Follow us on Spotify, or just listen. You can just listen. It's okay. Other than that, you guys got anything you guys want to say?
Cunt.
Okay.
Cunt.
Oh yeah. All right. That's 2 out of 3 cunts. Oh, there's the third.
Shit.
All right. You guys take care, and we'll see you next time.